everybody. Welcome to GC365.
What's
This
up?
is day 324.
Let's go.
It's November 20th.
November.
Yeah, talking
Swear
about the
weather.
Bible once again. We were in Ezekiel today to start off. There wasn't a lot of
Nope.
interesting stuff.
Lots
It
of
was
measurements, right?
Pretty
Lots of-
much just measurements.
Cool. I love that.
Measurements of the gateways.
If you want to learn how to build a gateway, perfect place to start.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot. So
Yeah, I
we're
really
going to
didn't get a lot
skip
out of it.
past that. We're going to go straight to James.
James is
because
fun.
James was
Lots of stuff.
full of a lot of good stuff. So, any first thoughts?
Yeah, depending on which translation you're reading, I like the little like subheading.
Okay.
And it just says drawing close to God. That's what we're gonna be doing in this reading here.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he's just kind of like calling people out, man, on their stuff. Like I think in a good way, right? Like we need to be called out. I think a lot of times in James, he's talking to Christians, talking to people who are Christ followers, and telling us to kind of work on ourselves. The first thing I highlighted was a verse 4. I know we were talking about this. You highlighted it too, right?
So verse 4 reads, if you want to be a friend of the world, you make yourself an enemy of God.
Yeah.
Which is like
It's pretty
kind
intense.
of intense.
Yeah. Well, it's really intense though. But like if you think about it, and I think it's like how much of the world, like, right? Like in the Bible it talks about in other scriptures too, like you can't worship God and money at the same time, like all these different things. And so you got to pick one.
Yep.
If you're too worldly, obviously godliness is not going to be coming through you. So,
Right.
And then you said something cool about 5.
Yeah, verse 5. What do you think the scriptures mean when they say the spirit God has placed within us is filled with envy? So I think it's cool. The Bible's like asking us a question.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting question.
Yeah, I think it's great.
What do you think about that?
About the question or just about that in general?
Yeah, like what would your answer to that question be?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. What was it?
The scriptures, the spirit of God, the spirit that God has placed within us is filled with envy, meaning the spirit that we were given is an envious spirit.
Well, it's like we talk about God being a jealous God, right? Like we're not supposed to worship other idols and worship other gods. So I think it's more like that. Like he's envious of when we go off astray and we go and worship other things and worship the world and become friends with the world and kind of push God away. So it's like we kind of have that that jealousy, that envious, that, of that we are destined and we're created to worship God, not the things around us and not the world. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Went on to talk about how we shouldn't judge others.
Yep.
That
That's
was
always
another
good.
section.
Yeah. I think that's been a huge thing. Especially like, good old 2021 and 2020, like everyone just has their opinions and their judgmental things on whatever you believe or whatever you think.
Yeah.
So that was just a really good reminder. Don't speak evil against each other.
Yeah.
I think that's so easy to do right now.
Yeah.
It's it's easier to talk bad about someone than it is to talk good about someone. And it's just straight up telling you right there. And if you criticize or you judge each other, then your criticism and judgment, like you're judging God's law.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
And your job is to obey the law. Your job is not to judge others. That's what God's for. God alone, who gave the law, is the judge, not us. We can't look at someone else's walk and be like, oh, they're not Christian enough because of the way they look, because of the way they sound, because of what they believe, because of their political beliefs, whatever it is. We need to love them like brothers and sisters and show them the love of God, because that's essentially what Jesus did.
Right. He was not friends with only people that believe what he believed.
He hung out with all the sinners, and then they followed him.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a good thought for us and a good way for us to remember, like, stop judging people, man. It's so much easier to do it, but we got to stop.
Yep. At the very end, it talks about how tomorrow is not promised. It was titled like self-confidence, something like that.
Yeah.
So don't be so confident that you have tomorrow, or
Warning
don't
about
say like, oh, I'm going to do this for God, but I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it in a week.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it later. Like, no, do it now. You're not promised tomorrow.
Well, and I like how like all this kind of like congeals into one good message of like, again, not worshiping other gods, not falling to that, not judging people, because today you might say something to someone and then you can regret it tomorrow and you don't know what's going to happen, right? Like something can happen to you, something can happen to them, whatever happens. And if we just let the little dumb things in our life rule us, it's going to ruin us going forward. Like we're not supposed to do that. I think it's just good. It's just a good reminder.
It's good.
Tomorrow's never promised. We can't like ruin things today. We can't ruin our relationships. We can't judge our brothers and our sisters. That's what I got. It was honestly, it was like a little message, right? Like we can preach on this right now. Let's go.
It was great. I loved it. There's another verse that I really liked. It was at the very end of the reading. Remember, it is a sin to know what you ought to do and then not to do it or to not do it.
Yeah.
So to know what's right, but then choose to completely do the opposite. I don't know, kind of basic common knowledge, but I like when I'm reminded by things like that.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I feel like this was preaching a lot. Same thing, like, you're supposed to be nice to someone. Like, like a sister or a family member, and you should just be nice to them. But it's so much easier to call them a name instead, Or, yeah.
He's saying this because he does this all the time.
I do this all the time.
I know.
Okay. But you know what I mean? Like, yes, it's, I don't know, this whole, James has always been good. Yeah, there's a lot of good James. Golden nuggets in the whole book of James. And this one was just another one of those. So that was great.
Psalms and Proverbs were pretty good.
Always fun.
I don't have a lot to say. Yeah. But I feel like it's just a good, good little piece of wisdom every day. Open
the gates. Righteousness enters in. We thank the Lord. I love it. Just worship. Thank you for answering my prayers and giving me victory, God. Super. Yeah. Just praise. So I love it. Just worship, praise God, especially being worship leaders. That's where we write all of our songs from.
Yes. That was today.
Cool.
324.
Good job. We're almost done.
We are almost done. We have
crazy.
Like 1 month left, 1 and a half. Not even.
Almost. Yeah. I guess.
Crazy. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow.
See you guys later.
Bye.